And as always, we will put together the attendance list today and send it to all of the board members. So if somebody has joined late, they have a chance to say, hey, I was actually here.
Okay, sounds good.
If everybody but the chairs would mute their phones, please, until we get to where we vote, that will cut down on the feedback. Kevin and Barney, do you want to call the meeting to order?
Okay,
Hi.
Kevin,
Gail is on.
you could do that.
Hi, Assemblywoman. How are you?
Good.
Welcome.
Okay, Barney, I heard you say, let's get started, and I think both of us are happy to convene.
I will. Okay, the meeting has now commenced, and Scott, what's the first order of business?
Kevin, to do the agenda review.
Yes, okay, so thank you, Scott, thank you, Barney.
You go ahead.
So everyone, I believe, received the agenda in advance, and I can review quickly, which is we'll go through the minutes approval from last time. We'll start with the Communities Council, and then go to the Conservancy, the National Heritage Area, and then we'll end with Scott's Director's Report, new business. If there are any questions or comments on the agenda, please state them now. Otherwise, we will go ahead and approve the minutes for our last meeting. Okay, hearing none. So we've got to approve two sets of minutes. For the entire boards, we have to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which is on October 21st, held by teleconference. And I will need, if there are no comments, just an approval with a motion and a second. This can be from anyone on the board. So,
all right, I'll move it.
Okay, thank you, Barney. Is there a second?
This is Jane Daniels. I'll second it.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jane. Let's all in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. And then we also need to approve the minutes from the Grants Committee meeting that was held on November 30th, again by conference call.
That.
And this is just for Grants Committee members. So I need a first and a second for that.
I so moved.
Is that Bob Elliott? Bob Elliott and
Meg seconds.
And Meg, great, thank you. Okay, so this is, again, just for Grants Committee members. Please signal approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, terrific. All right, with that, Barney, I'll leave it to you to open the Communities Council meeting.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it's now time for the Communities Council portion of the meeting, which is...
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's just onward and upward.
Great.
All right.
Scott?
I've got it, Chairman. We got some good news earlier, last month. The Division of Budget has approved our being able to award the grants that the Grants Committee had previously approved. The Grants Committee met on December 6th, 2019 and March 5th, 2020, and recommended funding for both Council and Conservancy Trail grants. And I'm going to describe those as we move through the meeting. But due to weather and then the pandemic, both the December and March Boards of Directors meetings were postponed, and the grants haven't been considered yet by the boards. Minutes of those December and 2019 and March 2020 Grants Committee meetings were subsequently approved at the May 27th Boards of Directors meeting, the joint board meeting. We have now received permission to award these older grants. However, our current state-funded grants programs are still on hold, as is just about everybody else's. One change I want to note before we move into describing the grants, normally the date the boards approve the grants is the award date, which also serves as the start date for the project and our grant MOUs between the Greenway and the grantees. For these grants, we didn't want to punish the grantees for matters beyond their control, so we are going to make the award date retroactive to the date the Grants Committee recommended funding for all of the Council and Conservancy grants that you do approve today.
Very wise idea.
Are there any questions on that process or the rationale behind it? All right.
I think none.
Moving on to the Community Council Grant Awards, the total amount we have to award is $57,000. We have a number of new board members on both the council and conservancy, so I thought I would spend just a minute describing these grant programs and who's eligible for those new members. The community council grant awards may be a mix of planning and project awards. They are only open to communities who have voted to work with us, or what we call a Greenway community. The first one is the town of Hudson, Rensselaer County is requesting $10,000 to update their 2004 comprehensive plan. The grants committee recommends $10,000 and a December 6, 2019 start date.
Okay, well,
The next grant is the town of Westerlo in Albany County, requesting $10,000 to update their 2015 comprehensive plan, which they have deemed not comprehensive enough. The grants committee recommends $10,000 and also a December 6, 2019 start date. The town of Dover, Dutchess County is requesting $7,000 to update their 1993 comp plan. The grants committee feels that that's long overdue, recommends $7,000 and a March 5th, 2020 start date. The town of New Lebanon, Columbia County is requesting $10,000 to update their 2005 comp plan. The grant committee recommends $10,000 and a March 5th, 2020 start date. The town of New Paltz in Ulster County is requesting $10,000 to create a community preservation plan that establishes priorities for preservation of open space, historic preservation, and farmland protection. The plan will engage the community and build on existing plans such as comprehensive open space, historic preservation, and farmland protection in preparation for the creation of a community preservation fund. The grants committee recommends $10,000 and a March 5th start date. The Village of Highland Falls, Orange County is requesting $10,000 to update their 2009 comp plan. The grant committee recommends $10,000 and a March 5th start date. Grants, moving on.
What's the total of that, Scott?
Excuse me?
What's the total?
$57,000 in those, but we still have a compact grant to go over, Chairman.
Okay.
The Greenway Council Compact Grant Awards have a total amount recommended to be awarded of $10,000. The compact grants are different from the community grants. They are for communities that have adopted their county's Greenway Planning Compact and are designed to support implementation of the compact and other related planning efforts. Currently, the counties that have adopted compacts are Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Westchester, and Rockland. In order to become a member of the compact, a community must change their zoning to match the county compact plan. One such community is the city of Peekskill in Westchester County, and they are requesting $10,000 to prepare a natural resources inventory. The grants committee recommends $10,000 and a December 6, 2019 start date for that project. Chairman McHenry, would you like to call for, are there any questions, first of all, on any of those?
This is Linda. I have to recuse myself on Hudson because I will be working with them. Okay.
Linda Vanderhyde, correct?
Yes.
We have a couple of Lindas on the call. Okay, anything else? Chairman McHenry, would you like to call for a motion to approve these awards?
Yes. I'm calling for a motion, and I just heard one, so move ahead. All right. Scott?
Who made the motion from the council?
Yes. I heard one, yes, I thought.
I'll make a motion, Sandy Galiff.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And I'll second that. Mary McNamara.
Okay, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And that closes the council meeting. Kevin, if you'd like to open the Conservancy meeting?
I would indeed. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Barney. Yes, let's open the Conservancy portion of the meeting. And with that, I'm excited to hear what's going on with the Empire State Trail. I know it's the top of the agenda here, so should we just bring in Andy right away?
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Thank you, Kevin. This is Andy Beers. I'm going to first report on the Greenway's Albany Hudson Electric Trail and then the broader statewide Empire State Trail. So as you know, the Albany Hudson Electric Trail is the segment that the Greenway is constructing, a 36-mile rail trail route from the city of Rensselaer to the city of Hudson and just north of the city of Hudson in Columbia County. The project is pretty much complete at this point, and we will meet the governor's deadline of completing the trail by December 31st. We're basically just down to a handful of punch list safety items at a few road crossings and so forth. But it's been extremely gratifying to see the trail come together. We actually, our team, our engineering team and planning team, 2 weeks ago, we did a end-to-end bicycle ride, the entire 36 miles, just looking for checklist items and a little bit of a celebration. And if and when you get a chance to go out on a bike, yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you get a chance, this winter or certainly next spring to get out and enjoy the trail, it frankly came out better than we had even hoped. It's getting, even though it's not officially open yet, it's getting a tremendous amount of use. Trails during this COVID period across the state and across the country are seeing record amounts of use. And, one of our projects for this winter for the Albany Hudson Electric Trail is, even though it's not officially open, some of our parking areas have been frankly overwhelmed on nice weekends, which is a good problem to have, but it is a problem. So one of our projects for this winter and spring will be to review opportunities for further expanding designated parking along the trail. There's not an official announcement yet. It's open. I'll get to that in a second as part of the larger Empire State Trail. So the 750-mile route, there are 58 construction projects, large and small, to create the Empire State Trail. About 70% of those are now complete, and the remaining projects are all under construction and sprinting. And this last, 22 days, I think, until the 31st. And all projects are on schedule to be complete by the end of the year. A major accomplishment by the many involved state agencies, including State Parks, Canal Corporation, New York State DOT, Metro North, New York State Thruway Authority, New York State Bridge Authority, and then we have a roster of 17 projects that municipalities are undertaking. Some funded through the Empire State Trail and some funded by the municipalities, including state and federal grant money. So we are in very good shape. And now really the last step will be the governor's office is determining how and when the governor will announce the trail is complete. That will occur either sometime between now and the 31st or potentially as part of the state of state address and publications that come out in early January. So stay tuned for that. And when there's an official announcement, we will certainly send that out. I think I reported on our last call that we were preparing to launch the Empire State Trail website. That was launched after the last meeting. I think we sent out notice on that. If you haven't been to it, you can just use your Google or whatever search engine you use, and you'll quickly find the ny.gov website. We're very pleased with the website. It's a challenge to get the word out to the world that a new website exists. There was a press release, but got some coverage, but it's not it's not a huge newsworthy item. Groups have been promoting it, but in the first month in November, we had 35,000 people visited the Empire State Trail website in the first month, so we're very pleased with that level of engagement, and we expect that to grow over time as people learn about the trail. So that's in a nutshell. I guess the last thing I would say is the Greenway directly and a number of our partners have been constructing more than 40 trailheads and gateways along the 750-mile route that include interpretive panels and maps on the panels and bike racks and benches and welcome signs and bike fixture stations, that kind of thing, as a way to sort of orient and welcome people to the trail, again at more than 40 locations along the route. And those contracts are all wrapped up at this point as well, down to a few punch list items. So there were now, the last thing I would...
publicity on that? We should get some.
I'm sorry?
We should get some good publicity out of that, shouldn't we? For the trail.
Yeah, we will, certainly. That's why, like I say, I mean, at this point, the baton is with the governor's office to determine how they're going to announce all that. And once it's publicly announced, we'll certainly be following up with outreach to our partners and social media and a lot of other strategies to get the word out. And then looking ahead to next year, we'll cut the last ribbon by December 31st, but there's plenty more work to do. We're going to be working with I Love New York, state parks, and other partners on strategies to promote the trail in 2021. There are older sections of the trail we've identified that, while available to the public, are in somewhat aged condition, and we're going to be scrambling to try to find some additional funding to resurface and improve some of those existing sections, both New York State and its state and local partners. So there's plenty more work to do next year, and then we're looking forward to doing that after a brief celebration. There will be, the governor will have some sort of announcement here right around the end of the year, and in this year of COVID, trails are going to get a lot of use this winter, but it is, this isn't the normal time you celebrate a trail opening. I'm sitting here in Albany looking out the window at snow, right? Most people have put their bicycles away for the season. So we are also starting in the early planning stages of probably May of next year, a series of events across the 750-mile route to promote and celebrate the trail completion as well at the beginning of the 2021 bicycling season.
Where are you?
Exactly what those will look like will depend, where we are with COVID at that point in time. So it's a little preliminary to say, but certainly we'll be doing, that'll be another major element of work next year. So that's my report.
And just to add to what Andy said, the website address is empiretrail.ny.gov.
Yep.
This is Jane Daniels. I live near one section of the Empire State Trail, and Andy, the posts that are put up, the mile posts, are just great. My husband and I have been out just rewalking it, just get out to it, and things look really great. So that's just one small section. I don't think you have to worry about publicizing the trail. Word's going to get out pretty fast because people want to get out and walk.
Well, excellent.
This is Vince from Rockland. When would the connections be recognized?
Yeah, so, we've had this ongoing conversation. The Empire State Trail is a 750-mile, route, and we kind of serving sort of as the spine of trail networks across the state. There are many additional connecting trails and auxiliary trails that intersect or are near the Empire State Trail. Right now, the first thing we've done is all those intersecting trails are identified on the website. So the website includes a map that shows the entire state, but you can zoom in and see any section. So connecting trails are depicted on there. They're also depicted on I talked about the 40 trailheads along the route. Each of those has a map of the local trail area, and the connecting trails are depicted on there. The other thing I would say is, in a separate but parallel effort, New York State Parks is leading an effort that was pursuant to legislation enacted in 2019 to do a Greenways plan for the state. Obviously, Scott and Beth and myself, but particularly Scott and Beth, are very involved in that planning process. And they recently are either issued or about to issue the draft plan for public comment. And that'll be, that's speaking to the whole network of trails across the state. And that'll be another opportunity to both identify additional connecting trails and a network of trails across the state. Scott, help me out here. Have they released the draft plan, or is it still on internal?
They're looking for comments. I want to say towards the end of January. I know they only had a year from when the budget last passed to get this done, so they should have this. I imagine they're targeting April 1 is done and dusted date.
So Scott, we can send out a link to the board members of how they access that, the statewide Greenways plan.
Yes, yeah, I can.
If they want to review it, and there's a public comment function, and be assured that Scott and Beth are leading the charge in terms of participating in, obviously, the section of the plans that are within the Hudson Valley Greenway area.
You need a motion on that?
No.
Thank you so much for all you're doing, and we're excited to follow this news as it makes its way to the public. Scott, we've got some trail grant awards. Do you want to walk us through those, please?
Sure. This is another set of awards like the last set that were holdovers from a previous year. They're the Greenway Conservancy Trail Grant Awards. The total amount we have to award is $259,750. The Conservancy Trail Grants for the new members are funded through the EPF for trail projects to create and improve the Hudson River Greenway Trail System. The start date recommended by the Grants Committee for all of these grants is December 6, 2019. The first one is Basketball House and Garden in the town of Garrison, Putnam County. They are seeking $17,929.75 for the Reese Trail Rehabilitation Project. The trail is an existing Greenway trail. The Grants Committee recommends $16,000 for the tree and gazebo work, but no funding for general maintenance, which is not eligible for funding under this grant program.
Okay, of course, I can't vote on that anyway.
Correct.
Because I'm a member of the board.
Right. The City of Yonkers, Westchester County is seeking $75,000 for a Greenway 2020 trail construction project. Project is located in an environmental justice community and is along a commuter route. It also links to both the Empire State Trail and the Greenway Trail system. The Grants Committee recommends $75,000. The Grassland Bird Trust is seeking $68,750 to construct a birding trail in the Washington County towns of Fort Edward and Argyle. This trail project will link to both the Empire State Trail and to the Greenway Trails. The Grants Committee recommends $68,750. The town of Saratoga in Saratoga County is seeking $55,000 for a concept trail plan for the Champlain Canalway Trail / Empire State Trail Wilburwood Trailhead. I don't know if they could have made the name longer, but they tried their best. The maximum this trail planning project is eligible for is $40,000, and the Grants Committee recommends that amount. This project is on both the Empire State Trail and Greenway Trails. The Village of Kinderhook, Columbia County, is seeking $10,000 for Kinderhook Creek access point improvements as part of the Kinderhook Creek Water Trail. This access point / hand launch intersects with both the Empire State Trail and Greenway Trails. The Grants Committee recommends $10,000 and further offers up Water Trail conversant Greenway staff to provide technical assistance in choosing a location for the hand launch. The Village of Sleepy Hollow, Westchester County, is seeking $40,000 for an extension of the Riverwalk Trail. This trail will connect to the Greenway Trail, and the Grants Committee recommends $40,000. Walkway over the Hudson in Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County is seeking $10,000 for Walkway East Gate Arrival Plaza interpretation capacity. The grant will be used to help fund a laptop and LCD screen at what will be an Empire State Trail gateway, and will be matched with IT installation and the purchase of tables and chairs. The walkway is both part of the EST and the Greenway Trail system. Linda Cooper, the OPR Taconic Regional Director, and the Commissioner's Delegate to the Greenway Boards provided a letter of support for this grant. The Grants Committee recommends $10,000 subject to WAG 2.0 accessibility standards being followed, and no monthly fees may be used as match. WAG 2.0 accessibility standards are the web accessibility guidelines, and 2.0 is the latest version. This is the compliance with ADA, and these are the best and brightest. Kevin, if you'd like to call for a motion to approve these awards.
Yes, thank you, Scott. It's, again, I think it's almost $260,000 of grants here. Thank you for walking us through them. Unless there are any questions, let's have a motion in a second So this is just for Conservancy board members only. Thank you. We have a first and a second?
This is Jane Daniels.
Motion first or second? Sarah Olson.
Okay, so Sarah and Jane, thank you so much. Conservancy board members, please signal your approval of these grants by saying aye.
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 Okay, any no's? Okay,
Just-
any abstentions? Hugo? Oh, who's that?
Oh, I just have a follow-up question. Scott,
Yeah.
do you expect a new round this year of trail grants?
I have no ability to know that. I am trying to get the appropriation. The EPF was passed. I am trying to secure those funds and get them in our bank account so that even if we can't do it this year, we can do a mega one whenever we do get approval to award grants again. I don't think we're going to have a clear idea on this until we have a new administration in Washington and we see what sorts of potential state and local government support come out of COVID relief bills.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so that brings the Conservancy meeting portion of the meeting to an end, and I think now we've got the National Heritage area. So
Correct.
Barney and I would like to open that portion. Scott,
Okay.
you can fill us in. What's going on?
Okay. We have our National Heritage Area Heritage Development Grants with a total amount to award of $16,975. These grants are designed for marketing, programming, and promotions of our heritage sites. And recently we've changed them to develop, to encourage our partner sites to develop virtual programming or socially distanced on-site programming for when they're able to be opened. The first one is the Columbia County
we have that
Historical.
money, right? Scott,
Excuse me? Yes.
can we spend that money?
Yes, we can spend that money. That
Okay.
the federal money we're allowed to give grants on. The first one is the Columbia County Historical Association. They are seeking $4,975 for trail interpretive signs depicting the early heritage and cultural legacy in the town of Kinderhook, Columbia County. Wayside signage will include the following topics: Mohican earliest settlers, one-room schoolhouses, Dutch colonial architecture, the Van Allens and early Dutch settlers, black locust trees, Washington Irving's use of Dutch culture, Ichabod Crane in New York, Eleanor Roosevelt's 1952 radio broadcast at Ichabod Crane Schoolhouse. The grants committee recommends $4,975.
Okay, let's do them all at once, Scott.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes, we are. The next one is the Friends of Griffin's Tavern, located in Dutchess County. They are seeking $10,000 for a traveling trunk exhibit to replace, to purchase uniforms for children and for the creation of a reenactors video. The youth size uniforms would be of French generals Rochambeau, Castellux, and an African-American Rhode Island regiment soldier. The other major component of the grant would be the creation of an on-site video by adult uniformed reenactors at Revolutionary War historic sites in the Hudson Valley. This video will allow virtual visits by students and adults alike. The maximum available under this award is $5,000. The Grants Committee is recommending $5,000 for the reenactors video only, not recommending uniforms at this time due to the pandemic and due to a survey of mothers who said there was no chance they would let their children crawl into a shared uniform at this point in the pandemic. So we're going to encourage them to come back once things are a little more stable. The next grant is for the New Netherlands Museum located in Albany County. They are seeking $5,000 for an ArcGIS story map, an immersive web experience that combines text, interactive maps, and other multimedia content of Dutch American heritage sites throughout the Hudson Valley, including those with and without physical remains, such as surviving architecture, natural sites like Papscani Island, and the former sites of lost structures such as Fort Orange. Cordell Reeves of OPR and the NHA Management Committee, wearing his hat as a management committee member and not as an OPR employee, provided a letter of support. This project also ties in very nicely with Parks initiative to inventory and document every Dutch site in the state. The Grants Committee recommends $5,000. Lastly, the Village of Kinderhook in Columbia County is seeking funding in the amount of $2,000 to create an app version on geotourist.com of the self-guided all-season tour of sites in the NHA-funded brochure, Historic Kinderhook Village, a walking and bicycling tour. This project seeks to expand historic content and interpretation and add more detail and depth to the stories that are currently in the brochure, encourage digital accessibility to the interpretation of Kinderhook's preserved architectural heritage, amplify the relationship of Kinderhook's history to the history of the Hudson Valley, and encourage a wider audience to learn about local history by attracting a more diverse, minority, and younger demographic of tech-savvy heritage tourists. This project builds on a previous National Heritage Area grant for the printed brochure, and the Greenway Committee recommends $2,000. Are there any questions on the grants?
Scott,
William,
this is Jamie. When will the applicants receive news of the grant awards?
Probably today.
Okay.
If not, then tomorrow.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Chairman, would one of you like to make a call for a motion?
I don't. Is that me? Yes.
You or Kevin, either one.
Okay. Well, okay. Since I'll move it right now.
Okay. Do we have a second? Is there a second?
Jane McLaughlin.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jane. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 All right.
Hi, this is Kitty Brown.
Thank you, Kitty. Okay, terrific. Thank you, Scott. And I guess it's now time for your report to the group.
Well done.
Yes.
Well, first we have an item, the Dutch and Native American brochure, which is a project that Steve Yarbeck originally brought to us. As we discussed at our last meeting, we have received a $25,000 grant from Dutch Culture USA, a program of the Dutch Consulate in New York City. Following an extensive procurement process, we have selected 2K Designs to design this brochure. We used them previously to design our Heritage Site Guidebook. The map guide is in the third and final revision process right now, and we are waiting on a higher resolution cover photo of the painting that will be on the cover. It's going to look fairly close to what you see in my executive director's report that you all should have gotten by email. And then this will be ready to go to the printer. So we're excited about that. I want to moving on to my executive director's report, I want to take a moment to salute the Empire State Trail team for bringing this project to a successful conclusion on time and on budget, knock on wood. Andy in particular, who was the leader, but also Paul Glesta, who joined us in May of 2017, and Dara Morin, who joined us in September of 2018, are leaving us at the end of the year. Their last day will be the 31st. They have been an enormous help. They've been instrumental to the success of the Empire State Trail project, and they have been great fun to work with. We will miss them both. And I just wanted you to know that they have been truly critical to seeing this project through. Otherwise, Andy would have no hair left. He'd have pulled it all out. Andy, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, if you're still on.
Yep, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, thank you, Scott, for calling them out. And I know that several of the board members have had a chance to interact with Paul and Dara. You know, that the plan all along was these were term positions through completion of the trail, so they are departing for other positions. And those of you that did not meet them, they have been working really hard and certainly deserve that credit Scott has given. This isn't just all me. We were a team of three, plus Scott and all the other members of the Greenway have been staff have been pitching in as well. My position will continue on into 2021, as I said during my report, while we sort of pivot to post-construction activities. And so I'll still be around for 2021, working on the Empire State Trail, but it'll just be me going forward, along with Scott and the team. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Next thing, we have completed our brick-making story for the app. It is currently live on our National Heritage Area website, hudsonrivervalley.com. The app will be updated as soon as we can get some pictures to represent. We're hoping to get some pictures to represent the brick-making industry on Dennings Point. As the person who was interviewed for this is Dr. Michael Conrad, the executive officer of Clarkson University's Beacon Institute on Dennings Point in Dutchess County. He described the events that led to the beginning of the Hudson Valley brickmaking industry, the advantages the Hudson Valley had, including ready access to raw materials and inexpensive transportation, the use of immigrants to make the bricks, the skill required to get the mixture right, and what caused the industry to decline and eventually disappear. It's a fairly long story at 6 minutes, but I found it quite fascinating. I've listened to it several times, and I highly recommend it. Finally, the last item I have is just to note that the rest of the staff continues to perform with great professionalism in these trying circumstances as we continue to work through the pandemic, and I want to thank them all. And I would ask you to do as well. And that's it for me, Kevin. The next item is new business.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Scott, very much. So this is a portion of the meeting where we open to our members and to those on the call the opportunity to share with us things that are going on in the Valley that they want us to know and to put out word in case we can help on anything. So let me open that. I believe Joanna Poor, you've got something from Orange County that we can start off with.
Okay, that's conservancy only, right?
Okay, go ahead, Joanna.
What would you like me to say?
Actually, Kevin, we're going to send the boards something that Joanna put together, which I think will give them a clearer vision of what she's wants to tell them about. We're going to do that right after the board meeting, rather than because it's sort of confusing.
Yeah, rather than going to a long explanation, I'll just quickly say that the county has owned a piece of land that has Native American remains, human remains as far as that, but caribou bones and other butchered items that show habitation that go back 12,000 years. And that piece of land is preserved. It is on the National Register, but there's adjacent land that currently has mining that is taking place by Tilcon. And right now that property is for sale and the only viable buyer is Tilcon, but I'm really looking for some other route to try to get it into public hands so that the mining can cease.
Okay, anyone else with new business for the board?
Scott, this is Jane McLaughlin. I don't know if this is more business or new business. I'm a member of the Conservancy and the Grants Committee, which is a really fun and interesting assignment. And I think I would really love to see more applicants for our Planning, Trail, and National Heritage Grants programs. And I want to make clear that Scott and his team do an amazing job of outreach, mailings. They have working relationships. They do a really terrific, very comprehensive grant review for us, identifying red flags or making sure an applicant doesn't overlook something that disqualifies them. But we're all out on the ground in these communities, and I don't think we know one organization or municipality that says we have plenty of money to do all the great things we dream of and need to do. So I think if each of us as an individual could do some outreach and encourage more applicants, the goal is more applicants, leading to a very competitive process, resulting in outstanding awards and products. So I think perhaps we as Conservancy and council members could help make this a bit more robust. And I also want to make clear, we never award best of a bad lot. If we don't have good applicants, we do not award. So I don't want to give that impression. I just think there's many more great projects out there that should be competing for our funds. Thank you.
Well said, well said.
Thank you, Jane.
That's great, Jane. Yeah. we are all ambassadors for the Greenway, and in our travels and our conversations, whether in person or virtual, we should talk it up and mention to people that we are a resource. So thank you, Jane. That's great. Okay, I just wanted to are there any other comments on new business before we look ahead to 2021?
It's okay, Kevin. Andy Bicking at Scenic Hudson. I'd like to make a brief announcement. Is it a good time?
Sure, yes.
I just wanted the board and everyone on the phone to know that the New Paltz Community Preservation Act passed this past election day with flying colors. Over 72% of the electorate got behind a very small real estate transfer fee that will be supporting the town's community preservation fund, enabling open space and farmland protection and historic preservation projects. Currently, communities in Ulster County, Putnam, and Westchester have this authority within the Hudson Valley. And I wanted to just remind everyone that Scenic Hudson is a resource if you're interested in moving forward with a local program. There's a lot that goes into it, both on the policy development side, passing local laws, and on the community side of running a campaign that really requires careful care and really, frankly, the guiding hand of groups like Scenic Hudson, the Nature Conservancy, and the Trust for Public Land that are familiar with the ins and outs of ballot initiatives. So if you're interested, please reach out. We'd love to kind of share with you a little bit about this success recently and talk about how it may be relevant to your community.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy.
Hi, this is Kitty, and I just want to second all of that and also add that the community of New Paltz received $150,000 worth of negative lobbying with all kinds of, how shall I say this delicately, alternative facts about this Preservation Act. And it was really inspiring to realize that the community knew what the real facts were, and as we said, voted overwhelmingly to pass this. So that was a really landmark decision for our community.
Okay. Do you need any action from on this at this point?
Nope, we're good.
This is go ahead.
Hello, this is Cindy Lanzetta. I just wanted to make mention that the town of Marlborough has completed and accepted their local waterfront revitalization plan, and the state has acknowledged that they have accepted the plan, and so now we are a local waterfront revitalization community.
Sure. Cindy, do you want to talk briefly about your trail opening Sunday?
Sure. Just briefly, we had a wonderful turnout, all socially distanced and masked, but it's a great example of private and public cooperation. Tilcon has given the town of Marlborough a 25-year lease to utilize and build trails on their property, and we completed the first series of trails. It probably is about a mile and a half of trail that goes from Route 9W down to the river and back, and it's hopefully just the beginning of a more extensive trail network.
Sounds good.
Yes, indeed. That's great. Okay. Scott, do you want to give us a look ahead at the meeting schedule for 2021?
Sure. Our next meeting will be March 10th. And as of now, that's still going to be a virtual meeting, a conference call meeting. The following is June 10th, which please note is a Thursday rather than our usual Wednesday due to a conflict. And the last two are October 13th and December 8th. And I have hopes that maybe 2 or 3 of those we can actually meet in person. Depending on how the vaccine goes and whether they let the Wallace Center reopen. So
let's hope so, Scott. I miss seeing everyone, and it doesn't feel the same to not be able to gather, but we all are doing what's right and being safe. But certainly as a community of people who care about our environment and our history in the Valley, it's just, it feels like deprivation to not be able to join and commune and celebrate that together. So we do hope for that. But in the meantime, everyone, please stay safe this winter. Take good care. We'll get through this. And I again, just cannot thank all of you, but also in particular the staff and Scott and all the way down, Andy, Beth, the whole team has just been keeping the ship going through a most extraordinary time, because our mission is so much to be out in the community. And the fact that we can't be, and that we're still going and still awarding great projects means a lot to us. And it's one of the things I look forward to keep myself going through these difficult months. So thank you, everyone. Certainly we'll be thinking about you over the holidays and looking forward to convening again in March.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well
Although
said.
I will say I didn't mind not having to drive through the snow this morning.
It's too true. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Holidays and let's hope for a better 2021.
Thanks, everyone.
Indeed.
Well said.
Bye.
Bye.